Welcome to This Is Your podcast. In this session, we're exploring the science of heartful leadership. Our exploration starts in the 3rd century BC, so a long time ago, and it starts with Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher and scientist. Among his many ideas was one about the organ of intellect, and here he could have been talking about the brain, but actually he was talking about the heart. His teacher, Plato, disagreed with him, though. He said the brain was in control of our human faculties, our eyes, ears, tongue, limbs, hands and feet. And so that was the thing that dictated our activities and our actions. Nevertheless, Aristotle's heart-centered model persisted well into the Middle Ages, and it took science and a scientist called Galen to demonstrate the vital role of the brain in how we as humans behave and act. That's not the end of Aristotle's idea, though, this idea of the organ of intellect. The heart's actually more like the brain in its makeup than we might imagine. Like the brain, the heart has neurons, something like 40,000 of them. And neurons, or nerve cells, are the things which are the basic elements of the nervous system. So these cells process and transmit information through electrical and chemical signals. And of all the cells in our heart, something like 2/3 are actually nerve cells. The heart is the only organ in the body that can send information to the brain autonomously. The heart's nervous system directs and circulates signals from the brain, so it's working with the brain, but it also operates independently. And this is why heart transplants can work. We know that severed nerve connections can't reconnect in a different body, and yet a patient can be given a new heart, and it works, and their life continues. That's because it has this independence. Another way of looking at this is through a lens of emotions and feelings. And perhaps it's more apt then to think of our heart as our sensing organ of intellect. It may seem obvious to say our heart's emotionally intelligent, and yet it is. It's set up perfectly to help us interact with the world. So emotions like love, affection, tenderness, care and compassion all come from the heart. We know this. We feel them rather than thinking them. And for sure we can rationalise them after the event, but they don't really arise from a rational process. And of course the same is true for our negative emotions. So the heart's responsible for our emotional balance, and it stimulates the release of hormones such as oxytocin, which is sometimes called the love hormone. Neuroscientists also think the heart works in collaboration with the amygdala. That's the area of our brain which controls our fight or flight response to difficult or scary situations. The other thing about the heart is it has a powerful electromagnetic field. That's said to be something like 5,000 times more powerful than that of the brain. Now, the HeartMath Institute has studied this electromagnetic field, which leads to this idea of the energetic heart. And what they've found in those studies is that it transmits information throughout and outside the body, and that our emotions affect the information that's transmitted. In turn, this can help or harm our mental and physical health, and of course it affects those around us. And the HeartMath Institute studies around the energetic heart have been widened to think about impact on our wider world. So in 2008, they launched the Global Coherence Initiative. And this is investigating whether the Earth's magnetic field can be affected and changed by mass human emotions, so millions of people coming together. Ultimately, the aim of this project is to unite people worldwide in heart-focused care and intention, to create cooperation and enduring peace. It's a fantastic purpose, and one we surely need to fulfill given the challenges, discord and instability we face on both a global as well as local scale. So we can see that the heart has a vital role to play in both our individual and humanity's journeys. It's so much more than a pump that makes our blood circulate. It's core to our humanness, to our deep connection with ourselves, with others and with our world. And without its intelligence, we're reduced to cool reasoning and to logic and rationale, and we're missing out on the warmth, love and meaning that are core to humanness. And it's also the key to us developing a more peaceful, cooperative and caring world. So what does this mean for the workplace? And what does it mean for leadership? Well, we've talked about the research around the heart's electromagnetic field and its ability to transmit our emotions. So as leaders, we need to be really conscious about where our emotions are at, and particularly thinking about how they may be affecting those around us. So thinking about how they impact on others personally and also on how they do their work. Daniel Goleman introduced the idea of emotional intelligence in the workplace many years ago. The information here is taken from some more recent research that he's done with Annie McKee and Richard Boyatzis, and which is covered in their book Primal Leadership. The research with 62 executive teams showed just how important mood or emotion is to effectiveness. So the teams that were more upbeat, so cheerful and enthusiastic, worked together more cooperatively and delivered much better results for the business than those teams that didn't get on. The other thing to consider as a leader is the shadow we cast. Because of our position, our moods have a disproportionate effect. The negative emotions, such as anger and anxiety, can spread rapidly across a team or even the whole organisation. And these emotions powerfully distract people's attention. They disrupt their focus on work and reduce performance. So there is a real performance benefit to bringing good moods to work. And the other good news is that according to researchers at Yale University, positive emotions spread more easily and faster than bad ones. So let's think about heartful leadership and how we get more skilled at it. The working world has long valued reason over emotion. So how do we really harness the power of heartfulness, where we're getting the best out of the special relationship and interconnectedness of heart and brain? Or we could think about this on 3 dimensions: compassion, courage, and performance. As leaders, it's our job to assure high performance, to deliver on goals, objectives, and targets. But the thing is, the pace in organisations is increasing, and that's increasing the pressure to deliver. So we have to be tough on ourselves and others to ensure that delivery. The thing is, it's how we express that toughness. That's the thing that we can each personally explore. So are we mechanical and devoid of emotion, treating others as robots or simply numbers to get the work done? Or are we compassionate and heartful, so relating to the whole human being in each case? Drawing on our courage when we need to tackle poor performance or challenging behaviours, but doing so with compassion. The dictionary definition of compassion is interesting, with its focus on sympathetic pity and concerns for the suffering and misfortunes of others. So it's not surprising that compassion has become tangled up with the notion of needing to be nice and kind and tolerant and accepting of what others do, whatever they do. In the workplace then, showing compassion, which actually is a core part of heartful leadership, suggests we cannot deal with things like poor performance or behaviours, or holding people to account. This is simply not true. It is heartful and compassionate to show tough love when it's needed, to set goals and hold people to account, to tackle poor behaviours or performance. Why? Well, if we fail on this as leaders, we are doing others a disservice because we aren't setting them up for growth. We aren't giving them the opportunity to realise their potential or helping them to achieve it. Of course, this brings us to courage. It takes courage to lead in this way, to lead heartfully, to tackle the issues and to do so with kindness, holding love and compassion in our heart for the other person when we're holding them to account and delivering tough messages. What it brings is an entirely different experience, though. We find that our feedback is heard in a way that energises and raises the other person rather than flattening them. And with this comes a new positive energy to the action they take as a result. When we're leading heartfully, we are leading from the heart, from a place of service to others and to ourselves. And that means we are bringing all of ourselves consciously into being.